Doesn't bother anybody. Live from Miami. Good morning, Rabotai. Beruchim Abbaim to everybody. Wednesday, the 26th day of Nisan, May 1st, 2019. The Lighthouse live video feed Torah project dedicated לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל and רפואה שלמה of Ora Devora Bat Rivka. The iTorah.com dedicated לרפואה שלמה דוד מנחם בן דבורה לאה. שידוך for נחמה דינה בת חנבתיה and רפואה שלמה of Hannah bat Rachel. So Rabotai, tomorrow I believe is earmarked as Yom HaShoah. Yes, the day of the Holocaust remembrance, something that still connected to Am Israel for this generation. And Be'ezat Hashem, soon the Nehama will come for all of Am Israel. So Beli Neder tomorrow, when we do the Petihat HaEchal, we'll do the special memorial prayer and we'll dedicate the class to speak about this topic that changed the face of history and affected thousands upon thousands of Yehudim worldwide. So Be'ezat Hashem, I'm just throwing this statement now so we are mentally prepared for the day of tomorrow. Today, we are talking about the 11th day of Sefirat HaOmer. Today, we welcome Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom. The host of the week is Ishaq Avinu. And let's talk about the relationship between Ishaq and Moshe. So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom represented the topic of Netzach. The Sephirah of Netzach, it means the idea of eternity. What does this mean? How do we bring this down to our life? So let's talk about Moshe for a moment. Moshe, the Pasuk says, Torah Sivalanu Moshe. The Torah given to us by Moshe Rabbeinu. How long ago was the Torah given to Am Israel? Give or take 3,331 years ago. And we're still counting. Until today, the Torah is alive and well. On what zechut? On the zechut of Netzach. On the zechut that whatever Moshe Rabbeinu does has a lasting effect. It's like a person's life. A person gets married, right? Be'ezat Hashem, a person walks under the chuppah. Usually, majority of the cases, what it is, that a person hope to live a very long life together with his wife. Unfortunately, sometimes could be situations that lo aleno velo alechem causes a couple to part ways. But our idea is that la'ad ul-lanesach nesachim, the concept of eternal aspect of life. For example, a mashal, a person needs to go to the dentist. Many people avoid going to the dentist. I'm sure you know that. Why? Fear, in part, right? Number one, pain, correct, and cost. So you're not sure which one is it. Is it the cost or the pain? But once a person, I can imagine that. I think we're on the same page. Okay? But a person knows that sometimes a person must go to the dentist and must go through the discomfort that going to the dentist brings upon the person. But what's going to be the end result? That the preventive measure or the taking care of a painful moment today can give us a long-term effect of no pain, no issues at any level. In a sense, the effort, for example, we say in the book of Tehillim, it's a beautiful pasuk that talks about Mashiach's arrival. The pasuk says, "Hazor'im bedim'a berina iksoru." You work very, very hard to bring parnasa into your home. And some people need to travel out of town in order to bring parnasa. And all the efforts we are willing to make, and Be'ezat Hashem, all the efforts will bring beracha into our home. So it says here as follows, that many times a person needs to be willing to negotiate between short term and long term. It's like they tell you in a diet, right? A person eats something that is not good for the person, right? How long does the enjoyment of that food intake takes? How long? Seconds? How long does it take to touch your mouth, your palate, your tongue, go to your throat, and then go into your stomach? How long is that? Depends how slow do you eat, right? If you eat like Yaakov Avinu, that you chew everything before it goes to the digestive system, okay, 32 times the lashon lev of the teeth. So it takes you a minute to 2 minutes. But if we are like Esav, Haz v'shalom, like a vacuum, heke, you know, in and out, how long is the hana'ah? 10 seconds? 30 seconds? That's why the Rambam writes that a person should not drink water while they eat. Should wait a few minutes after you finish eating. Why? Because the moment that you drink water and you are eating, the water washes off the taste buds of the person, and then the effect of the food, it's much shorter than if you did not drink water for 15-20 minutes. I'll tell you a personal concept, that the moment that I became aware of this, I tried it, and I realized that I'm remaining longer satisfied without drinking water during the meal. And drinking cold water inside of the meal, it's definitely not beneficial at all, according to the Rambam. Obviously, I'm not telling you to change your life, but I'm only sharing with the Kahal something that we do, we enjoy for a minute, but how long does it take us to lose the extra pounds, especially post-Pesach? Don't ask and don't answer. I know we are on the same boat. I told my wife, I know you're not pregnant, I know, but that's a matzah and wine and other things, and obviously late food and the seder, etc. But Baruch Hashem, between Pesach and Shavuot, we have 7 weeks to try to reset ourselves and to be more careful in the future. And I'm using the case of weight loss because I believe that this is an area that we don't really speak much about it, but we all know how much effort people need to make. And that's a clear example that we have a few moments of benefit, a few moments of pleasure, but then it takes us a lot of effort to reverse it or to change. Now, imagine this sevara of Moshe Rabbeinu in a spiritual life. That a person makes an effort, a person makes an ishtadlut to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is it easy, the change? No one says that it's easy. Actually, the Pelei Yoez says that if you want to uproot something negative from your life, or you want to start implementing something positive in your life, it's not an overnight change. It says, the Pelei Yoez, I believe he says the Lashon, Hergel Na'asa Teva. The concept of constantly training, so to speak, becomes second nature in the life of the person. Meaning to say, let's say that a person struggles with Torah learning, or with saying Berachot, or coming to a minyan. So in order for that to become an habitual part of our life, the Pelei Yoez says that we need to invest. We need to invest. Everybody invests in life at different levels. Some people invest in their Avodat Hashem, people invest in their business, people invest in their marriage, people invest in friendship, and hopefully, Be'ezat Hashem, all these investments that I'm talking about, which are not connected to money, or the exception is business, we're going to see the end result later on, if it comes to marriage, if it comes to relationship, etc. So with this being said, the area of Moshe Rabbeinu is to do things that will have a great long-lasting effect on the life of the person, but we also need to insert that concept into the gevurah, into the discipline and the restraint of Ishak Avinu, alav shalom. The Mishnah writes in Pirkei Avot, and it says, Kol yamai gidalti ben hachamim. Every day I was raised among the sages. And we ask you, what did you learn being together with hachamim? So what the Mishnah says, Lo masati laguf tov ella mishetika. I did not find the best weapon for a person's survival like the power of being silent. It's not easy, especially for speakers, okay? It's not easy, but speaking of Torah is not the topic of today. The idea of the Mishnah, which is a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, and also I believe, let me just confirm the source quickly, it's also, yes, in Pirkei Avot and the Gemara as well. So it says that they quote a Hafetz Haim, and they ask a Hafetz Haim that in the olden days, this has been changed for many, many, many years already, that people used to take upon themselves ta'aniyot. Ta'aniyot for tikkunim. So you know what the Hafetz Haim says? Instead of making ta'anit of food, make ta'anit dibur. Which we all know, because we discussed this topic a long time ago, that ta'anit dibur, this fasting of speech, is much challenging than the fasting of eating. Because how many times a person goes without eating? Let's say the week of Pesach. You need to go to a kosher grocery or to a supermarket that sells kasher le-Pesach food. You cannot just buy a snack in any place. You understand? So we understand, so we survive on water for the middle of the day or some fruit, and then we come home at night, we have dinner. Or let's say that you are flying overseas and the airline did not deliver kosher food. For example, so what do? You manage the way you can. So we all understand that there is situations in life that maybe the person doesn't eat. But what about the speech? So it says, there was a great rabbi, which I knew, alav shalom, Rabbi Pinchas Scheinberg. Have you heard of him? He was the great rabbi who used to wear many sisiyot. Yes, many sisiyot, sisit katan. And when we say many, maybe many dozens. A lot. I saw him several times. I saw him here when he came to Miami. I saw him in New York. I saw him in Israel when I went to visit him many years back. And you know what it says about him? That for 60 years of his life, he did not speak divrei hol on Shabbat. And whenever he will speak on Shabbat, will be divrei Torah belashon hakodesh. Can you imagine? 60 days a person does not speak on Shabbat, and if he speaks, are words of Torah only. Many people have this beautiful custom during the day of Yom Kippur. They do ta'anit dibur, which is easy, but it's not easy. It's easy because we are most of the day praying. So therefore, most of the day you're praying, Selihot, Ne'ilah, Sefer Torah. So even the chances of speaking maybe during the cells of the Aliyot or maybe the break. But can you imagine 60 years of your life? Do the numbers. 52 weeks a year, give or take. That's over 3,000 Shabbatot. Over 3,000 Shabbatot that a person has self-control on the way the person speaks. And the words that come out are filtered and approved Torah only. Now, this is only one aspect of the great rabbi's life, who passed away only a few years ago in Yerushalayim, Eir HaKodesh. But I'm going to tell you a situation that I witnessed with my own eyes with him. And this impressed me tremendously. There was a fellow in Miami that had spiritual challenges with his daughter. And the daughter, lo alenu velo alechem, was involved with a goy. The happy ending of the story is that Baruch Hashem, she got rid of the goy and married a Jewish boy, and Baruch Hashem built a beautiful home. But we all know very well that teenagers sometimes go through yeridot and aliyot through life. They go through many challenges, especially in our generation. So I happened to be in Israel that time, and this fellow, the father of the girl, happens to be in Israel too. And he asked me, Rabbi, I need a favor. He says, okay, what do you need? I need you to come with me to see Rabbi Scheinberg, alav shalom, to ask a beracha for my daughter to get rid of the goy. I said to him, okay, call up the office, see when is the appointment. I was up north, I was in Tzfat or in Tiberias. Let me know when will be, and Be'ezat Hashem, I'll adjust my return to go with the rabbi, etc. I remind the Kahal that I knew the rabbi from before in his visits to Aventura, Florida. But this time the rabbi was not young, was on the older side already, walking slower, slowing down a bit, etc. So we go to the rabbi's office. The rabbi remembers us. He greeted me warmly, like he always did, with a smile. That's one of the great midah that this tzaddik had. He always had a smile, always had a word of encouragement to people. And the father of this girl started talking in Spanish. Now I speak Spanish, and part of my mission was to translate. So I couldn't, I started to listen, and I gave the rabbi the short version of what this fellow was saying. And the rabbi says to his son, book me a ticket to Miami for tonight. This meeting happened at 11 o'clock in the morning, 11 or 12. On the meeting, the rabbi says to his son, book me a ticket to go to Miami tonight. So the son was trying to help the father, by saying, Abba, give him a beracha. Why do you have to schlep to Miami? You're not a kid. It says, are you telling me that my age is more important than saving a Jewish girl's life? And the rabbi started to cry. I started to cry. The father of the girl started to cry. And the son started to cry. So we have 4 adults now. We all crying. We didn't cry when we started listening to the story of the girl. We cry when we saw the rabbi at an advanced age willing to book a ticket to travel to Miami to plead to the girl to separate herself from the goy. The happy ending of the story is that the rabbi did not come, but the tears from Israel had an immediate effect on the girl, because a week later, she alone tells her parents, I'm happy to tell you that the goy and I are not longer together. Now, I tell you one more thing, that the main reason why the father traveled to Israel was to gather berachot for his daughter. It wasn't a touristical visit. It wasn't a vacation, it wasn't a family trip, but it was a trip of activating spiritual forces to change the neshama of the person. Which Rabbeinu Ha'ari writes, and it says that when you come across someone that, God forbid, is involved in a forbidden relationship, talking to the person not always has guaranteed success. But you know what Rabbeinu Ari says? Pray for that person. Pray for that person that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should put thoughts of teshuvah in the person's mind. And thoughts of teshuvah doesn't mean to jump to the mikveh 3 times a day. Thoughts of teshuvah could be when people are talking about Pesach Seder, and now this person is listening, involved with a goy, what kind of Seder they're going to have. Or when they listen to Beshameru B'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, Beni u ben B'nei Israel. Rabbeinu Ari says that the power of prayer to do teshuvah for a third person have an unbelievable ashpa'ah, because who handles that prayer? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borei Olam takes that prayer, that's what Moed Kol Hai writes, and Borei Olam inserts it in the brain of the person to start tickling the neshama of the person to start doing teshuvah. Beautiful, beautiful concept of the Hafetz Haim and the great Rabbi Haim Scheinberg. So you know what is the suggestion of the day? Ben Adam Lamakom, take upon yourself to do today 5 minutes of Ta'anit Dibur. 5 minutes of silence. Not when I'm talking, because you are quiet when I'm talking. You are listening, you are eating, so you're not talking. But when we finish the class, try 5 minutes not to say a word. May be easy for many people, may be challenging, but let's try. That is between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ben Adam la Havero. Now we're going to use the opposite. People don't talk to one another. How long that attitude lasts? A very long time. People don't talk sometimes for 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. Between brothers, between partners, between relatives. I ask you a question. Not talking, what does it bring? More animosity than shalom. So today's message is Nesach. Look at the long term. If we don't talk, we have long-term drama. But if we talk, maybe uncomfortable in the beginning, like somebody told me the other day, something along these lines, and the person tells me, Rabbi, you know that my brother and I made peace after 25 years of not talking. You should never know this, but I was indirectly involved in this drama. And then I asked him, why you did not speak to your brother for 25 years? And you know what he tells me? I don't remember. Something with the business, but he didn't remember. I said to him, you don't remember, and for 25 years you did not speak to your brother? So today's message, Ben Adam lahavero, is try to make shalom. It's not easy. There is pain, has v'shalom, could be anguish, could be suffering. We don't know the dramas. But one thing is for sure, Rabotai, have a great day. We're finding ourselves in the days of Omer, in the students of Rabbi Akiva tragedy. So if there is a time in the Jewish calendar that Ben Adam lahavero, self-mehila, of improving rather our relationship between friends and families, this is the time of the year to do, including marriage. Sometimes people look at marriage as a separate entity than family and friendship. Guess what? According to our holy books, marriage is priority one. Let's go to the third. And marriage for sure has a long-term effect on the person, on the children, on the family, etc. Ben Adam le'atzmo. I know that many people will love this upcoming statement, and some people may not. But this is the menu of the day. Excellent question coming remotely. And you read the question on the screen. What if the person you are trying to make shalom with is a very difficult person? Don't both people involve how to want to do this? Excellent question coming from a virtual viewer. I'll answer in a moment. One brief commercial. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. חס ושלום, ברכות are not commercial, but interruption. Have a great day. Have a safe trip. I hope you had a great holiday. We'll see you soon, Be'ezat Hashem. Ma'asalame. Anyways, great question. And he's correct. Both people, in order to make true shalom, there must be the willingness to work things out. I'm telling you this because I said this to somebody the other day, someone that is going, unfortunately, Baruch Hashem, they are doing better today, but 2-3 weeks ago, husband and wife relationship wasn't doing that well. And I said to both of them, I said, the only way that Be'ezat Hashem, this relationship can have a happy level of relationship is when both are willing to work. If only one is willing to work and the other one is not willing to work, it's like you're treading water. We're not saying that one spouse doing a change perhaps will enhance, but guess what? You know, you need to have the proper combination. That's number one. Number two, I'll tell you a personal technique that I use when I try to broker a deal of shalom between people. First of all, I make a personal prayer. I ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam, I'm going to make a phone call now to try to make shalom. Help me to be successful. That's step number one. Step number two, one of the easiest way to make shalom is to apologize, not to justify. The problem with us is that the initial willingness of making peace is there, but then the intellect gets involved. He started, he did this to me, you know, and those kind of comments, when you're looking to make shalom, they don't really help. The idea is to look forward, not to look back. So how will you handle such a situation? One thing, Shlomo HaMelech says, Shlomo or David? Maybe David HaMelech. And it says, actually both. I'm going to tell you one pasuk from Shlomo and one pasuk from David HaMelech. David HaMelech, I believe, says, Birsot Hashem darkei ish, gam oyevav yashlim imo. When God is happy with the behavior of the person, the enemies will make peace with the person. That's King David. You know what Shlomo HaMelech says? Im ra'ev sona'acha ta'chilehu lechem or lachem. If your enemy is starving, feeding bread. What does it mean? Comes Purim. Who should be on top of your list of Mishloach Manot? Besides your parents. And the rabbi. Hazak Baruch. Your enemies. Send them a basket of Mishloach Manot. Send them a basket of Mishloach Manot. And guess what? The person may have two reactions. One, which is an extreme, refuse it, Hazau Baruch, which by the way, I have a case to deal with tomorrow, Beli Neder, or the next day, on a similar situations like this. Two individuals that have a little situation, exactly. Individuals that have a situation, and the way the story was told to me was that for the sake of peace, one fellow sent another one the Mishloach Manot, and the Mishloach Manot was thrown into the garbage. That is a scary type of behavior at many levels, but when people are willing to sit down and to talk, that is already part of the solution. If both parties will not be willing to talk, then we get into trouble. What else you can do? Pray for the person. Pray for the person to have a change of hearts. And this is important, Rabotai. As I read earlier today, earlier, I don't know what time, after the first minyan, I read an interesting message that it says as follows, that when a person is going through hardships in life, and especially Ben Adam LaHavero, he should pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help me make peace with this person. And it says that prayer, Borei Olam takes it and injects it into the heart of the other person, so when they are ready to sit down and talk, they are able to make shalom between them. This is an example. Now, we all know that there are certain things that are dangerous for the health of a person. Smoking is dangerous. Perhaps the person may enjoy it currently, but long-term effect, lo alenu velo alechem, I hope no one smokes. And when I say it smokes, I take the liberty to say vapes, or vaping, or Juul, or Junie, or whatever they call them out there. I think Junie is a ladies' store in Brooklyn, right? Junie's. I'm Avdil. Juul, J-U-U-L. Certain things come with flavors, certain things come with nicotine. Without nicotine, some carries a diluted forbidden substance by its own. I'm not an expert in the topic, and I hope, Be'ezat Hashem, never to be an expert of the topic, but unfortunately, I am dealing with some type, along these words, of this type of addictions, and please, I respectfully ask you, stop. 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 Don't smoke a hookah neither. I never liked that word. I never liked that concept. I know many people do it, but if you're asking me, don't do it. You know why it's called hookah? Because you get hooked to it. That's the reason why it's called that way. You have to think. Maybe it's an Arabic word. I know in the Middle East, many people, they use the nargila, whatever, shisha, I don't know, whatever. Okay, Baruch Hashem, and I'm very thankful to Borei Olam, and to my parents, and to my kahal, and to my teachers through life, that Borei Olam, guide us in the proper way. But there are many, many people, and could be some people in the audience, that they use a vape with all kinds of things. And today's message is stay away from these situations in life that can bring sakana nefashot. And I'm not even talking about spiritual. We discussed last week, 2 weeks ago. We were making the siyum, actually the first day of Pesach. Many of you were in the siyum of Masechet Hulin. And we discussed what happened with Elisha ben Abuya, the teacher of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, also known as Aher. And one of the Mefarshim explains, how could it be that someone so great in Torah, in Avodat Hashem, could turn sour? And there were many opinions. One opinion is listening and singing non-Jewish song, or reading books of Apikorosut, reading books written by heretics, written books about other philosophies, etc. So that took care of the neshama of the person. But now we're not talking about the neshama only. We're talking about the body of the person. If a person knows that something is not beneficial for the person, stay away from it. Starting with smoking or food sometimes. And you know me already. I don't eat bread during the week. I avoid eating bread. Not that I don't like bread. I love bread. I'm a mahmir in bread. I can eat twice a day bread. Baruch Hashem. But I understand. I wish I knew this 20 years earlier, but doesn't matter. It's never too late. But I realize that, you know what? I need to say no to bread. Like used to be a slogan that says, say no to drugs. So I need to say no to sugars, and not to white flours, and not to smoking, and not to any hazardous type of behavior that it appears to be. You know, my wife is training me. You know, she doesn't know that I'm saying this, but she explains to me how the labeling system in the food industry works. Okay? Which is confusing by itself. So yesterday I went to the market to buy something that I needed for the shul. I said, I need something for myself. And I picked an item, and I started to read the different ingredients. So you come to understand that, you know, they tell you fat-free or low-calorie. Yeah, low-calorie, but then high sugar and carbohydrates, etc. Now, I was tempted to buy a couple of items, because when I go to the supermarket, I don't have a mashgiach on me. It's not like I usually go, okay? But I learned, I said, you know what? For what? This is the message of today. When a person starts having, and by the way, I'm only sharing my personal anecdotes because I don't like to speak about other people. But I can feel comfortable talking about myself because I'm the one talking about myself. But I'm telling you that we all have this nisayon. You know, yesterday night, I got home from the shul, and I said to myself, let me check the fridge. Maybe I find some kasher Pesach cookies that they forgot to put away. Baruch Hashem, I have to do bedikat hametz. There was no hametz in the house. Some matzah left over for Pesach Sheni. And I said, okay, I better not eat it today, so I have for Pesach Sheni. But I was looking for something interesting. Interesting is the Yetzer Hara words, you know, sugary, fatty, etc. Rabotai, we all have challenges. Our message of today is Gevurah, the discipline, the self-control will have good term effects in our life, physically and spiritually as well. My dear friends, have a great day, everybody. Tizku leshanim rabot. For those flying back today, have a nesiat tova, and we'll see each other, Be'ezrat Hashem, a bit later. Baruch Adonai.